Okay, so the next thing that we are going to talk about is how to turn an improper fraction into a mixed number. Now, an improper fraction is when you have a fraction and your denominator, your numerator is greater than your denominator. So this fraction would be read as 5/2, which it is improper because a proper fraction, it has to have a numerator that is less than the denominator. So we are going to just go over the steps on how to fix this, how to mix these numbers around and change this improper fraction into a mixed number. So again, we just have a set of steps that we can follow and get us to the right answer. So step 1 says divide the numerator by the denominator. The fraction bar, which is the thing the little line that separates the numerator from the denominator, it tells us to divide. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to do 5 divided by 2. So let's go ahead and come off to the side and we're going to do 5 divided by 2. Now, if your parents are watching this with you, they might think, what in the world are you doing? Tell your parents it's okay. I know what I'm doing. This is the way we learned how to divide in class. And Miss E will put a video up soon enough to show you the way we divide in 4th grade. Now, back to what we were doing. 5 divided by 2. Our goal is to think, okay, 2 times what is going to get us as close to 5 as we can without going over. Now, we can think, well, 2 times 1 is 2, and 2 times 2 is 4. Okay, so 4 gets us pretty close to 5, but if we did 2 times 3, that would put us over because it would equal 6. So 2 times 2 is going to be our best option, and we're going to do 2 times 2, which it equals 4, and we're going to subtract those two numbers and get a new dividend of 1. Now, whenever the second our dividend becomes less than our divisor, so our 1 is less than the 2, then we are done, okay? Whenever we have a number less than 2 in our dividend, we are left with what's called a remainder. So as we learn in class, our 2, our factor on the outside is going to be our quotient. So we're going to rewrite it up here, 2, and then we're going to show that we have a remainder of 1. Now that we have divided, we followed step 1 and divided the numerator by the denominator, we're going to do step 2. And it's kind of long, but you just kind of have to memorize it, and it becomes pretty easy, even though it is a longer step. So we are going to just look, and it tells us after we divide, your quotient, which remember is the 2, becomes your whole number. So I would write the 2 like this. Now, if you have a remainder, which we do, the remainder will become your new numerator. So our 2 is our whole number. Our remainder of 1 is our new numerator. So I'm going to write that. So here's our remainder. I wrote that right there next to the 2. And then we need a fraction bar. And then the denominator, which our denominator is a 2. And also, our divisor is a 2. That's just going to stay the same as the original denominator. Okay, so I have our whole number, our quotient becomes our whole number of 2. Our remainder becomes our numerator, and then our denominator just gets to stay the same. Now, you always, as always, you want to make sure that the fraction you have cannot be simplified. Since we have a 1 as our numerator, we know that we cannot simplify this fraction anymore. So 5/2 is equivalent to, which means equal to, 2.5. We just turned our improper fraction of 5/2 into a mixed number because it has a whole number and a fraction. So 2.5. And we cannot simplify it anymore, so we are done with that one. Okay, now let's try another example. Go ahead and erase. And we are going to, I'm just going to pick a random one. Let's do 7, oh, hold on. I want to make sure to write in black. Let's do, oh goodness, sorry. 7, oh wow, black. 7/4. Okay, again, the way that you can tell this is an improper fraction is because the numerator is greater than the denominator. So we are going to follow our steps on how to turn an improper fraction into a mixed number to fix this issue. So let's go to step number 1, which tells us that we need to divide the numerator by the denominator. So we are going to do 7 divided by 4. Okay? So again, we are thinking 4 times what is going to get us closest to 7 without going over. So I want you to press pause and think about 4 times what will get you closest to 7 without going over. Press pause now. Okay, hopefully you were able to tell that 4 times 1 gets you closest to 7 without going over, because if you were to do 4 times 2, then you would get 8. So 4 times 1 is 4. When we subtract, we are left with a 3. Now, like I said, once our dividend becomes less than our denominator, our divisor, once our dividend becomes less than our divisor, we have what's called a remainder. So I'm going to write my quotient of 1 above the 7, and then write in that we have a remainder of 3. Now that we are done dividing, we're going to move to step 2 and follow those steps. So again, our quotient becomes our whole number. If we have a remainder, which we do, we have a remainder of 3, that becomes our new numerator. Okay, so our fraction bar. And then our denominator of 4, it stays the same. Our denominator and divisor are the same number, but that's just going to stay the same, 1 3/4. Now, as always, check to make sure the fraction in your mixed number cannot be simplified. So we need to just take a look, and 3, if we factor out the numerator and denominator, I'm following my steps now for simplifying fractions. So if we factor out our numerator, we have a 1 and a 3. And if we factor out our denominator, we have a 2, a 4, and a 1. And our only common factors are 1, and the rule is 1, we're done. So 3/4 is in simplest form. So our improper fraction, 7/4, is equivalent to 1 3/4. 1 3/4 being the mixed number, which is the better way to write this improper fraction. Okay? Now let's do another example. Let's go ahead and do 16/8. Okay? Now, we are just going to identify this as an improper fraction because 16, our numerator, is greater than our denominator of 8. So 16/8 is an improper fraction, and we need to mix these numbers around, change it into a mixed number. Again, our fraction bar tells us that we need to divide. So we are going to divide 16 divided by 8. Now, I want you guys to go ahead and do that, okay? All right, hopefully you were able to see that 8 times 2 gets you right to 16, and you are not going to have anything remaining. So 16 divided by 8 equals 2, so 2 is your quotient. Now, if we go to step 3, because we're done dividing now, our quotient becomes our whole number. And now this time we don't have a remainder, so therefore we are not going to have a fraction. So we can just say that 16/8 is equivalent to 2. Okay? Your mixed number does not always have to have a fraction paired with it. It can be just the number itself, if that makes sense. So 16/8 is equivalent to 2. Now, remember when you are doing a test, if you notice that you have an improper fraction, that will not be an answer choice. You are going to have to turn it into a mixed number, and you are going to have to simplify it. Okay? So again, you can come up with any improper fraction as you if or any improper fraction you want to, as long as your numerator is bigger than your denominator, it is greater than your denominator, you will have an improper fraction that you can divide and turn into a mixed number by solving these two steps, okay? So why don't you go ahead and see if anyone can make some up for you to practice, and you can rewatch the video again if you forget, but I know that you can do it, and if you have any questions, you can ask me in class next time you are here. Thank you.